Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video. I'm really excited to be getting into a few of these specifics regarding how we're going to be training for the marathon. This video might be a little bit longer, so please bear with me, but I invite you to pause the video, stop it at any time if you have to come back. But I'm also going to be going over a good bit of terminology that's going to be helpful for how we train for the marathon and also set goals for ourselves, right? This video is going to be just about 3 parts. I'd like to talk about how we're going to set those goals, taking information from previous races or just setting goals for ourselves right off the bat. The different training zones that we're going to be using. Generally, whenever we're going into a week, we don't want to be running hard every single day or easy every single day. We want to modulate the paces that we're running to try and improve our times over time, right? And then I'd like to go over 2 example plans. One for someone who might just be attempting the marathon for their first time, one where we're just trying to increase our mileage over time and get used to being on our feet, as well as someone who might be a little bit more advanced and is willing to start trying to run some types of workouts that'll help develop our aerobic system and also improve our times in the marathon or half marathon, whatever you might be training for, right? Now, when it comes to setting goals, the one very important reminder that I want everyone to know is that the goal that you set for yourself is the goal that you set for yourself. You don't have to answer to anybody else. You shouldn't be basing it off of anybody else. Remember, we're training for a half marathon or even a marathon, right? Crossing that line is an amazing feat for anyone, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it, and you've decided to do it, so good for you. No matter what that goal is, just set it for yourself and be proud of whatever you're trying to achieve, right? There's a tool that I'd actually like to share with everybody, and I'm going to share my screen here from the computer. And I'm going to show you this calculator that I think is really important for, one, setting goals for ourselves and also figuring out how we're going to train for the marathon as well. And you can see it's this runsmartproject.com/calculator/. Okay, you can use that URL there. But generally what this is going to do is you can go into each one of these drop-down menus and select a different distance that we're trying to run. Say we're trying to run the marathon, it'll bring up the total distance here. I didn't even know it went out to this many decimals. That's pretty crazy. 26.21875, right? And then if you wanted, you could type in a goal time for yourself, right? So just arbitrarily, let's say the goal is to run a 4-hour and 30-minute marathon. You can click this calculate button, and then it'll give you what the overall pace that you're going to have to run for that marathon is going to be. Really powerful tool, right? So the other really important thing that's going to give you is the actual training paces that would be very useful. We'll get into this in a second, right? But all very, very important. Again, the other way that you can use this, not just plugging in a goal time, but maybe you have a goal pace in mind. If you cross out each one of these again, you can go in and say, hey, let's try and run maybe a 10-minute pace for the marathon and see how that goes, right? If we calculate here, it'll tell you what the overall time would be in that case, right? So very, very powerful tool. I think it's really useful in just figuring out what the paces that you're going to be running will be, right? But it's also going to be very important for our goal setting. And if we take a look at this equivalent tab, I think that's going to be our best part yet, right? So whenever we're setting goals, one way that we can do that is we can look at previous races or more recent races and say, well, what do you think about the same effort would be, right? So many of you, if you've run a half marathon or you're attempting to run a half marathon or a marathon, you might have run a 10K or a 5K before at one of your local races, right? What's beautiful about this is you can go in and you can say, well, if I've run about 27:40, 27:39 for 5K, or I've run just under an hour for 10K, maybe shooting for this 10-minute pace per mile in the marathon is going to be a good goal, right? Again, you can kind of adjust whatever times you've done. Again, you can go back up here and say, all right, well, I've run a 5K before. If we cross out all of these, and I've run a 5K, let's say you've run a 5K in 28 minutes, right? And you press calculate. So that's about a 9-minute pace, but you can come down here and you can say, oh, well, if I've run about a 9-minute pace for 5K, then maybe for the marathon, it would be a good idea to shoot for about 4:25 in the marathon. That's the real powerful thing about this calculator here. It gives you a really good idea of what might be an equivalent performance in another race, and also help you set your goals for yourself, right? Now, one other thing that I think is going to be really important, and we're going to be talking about how to train more specifically for the marathon whenever we're running a little bit faster, right? We don't necessarily run the same paces every single day, right? And we want to modulate the paces that we're running, because improving our ability to run even faster than our marathon goal pace is going to do a few different things for us, right? We want to be able to run that distance, right? We want to be able to complete 26 miles on our feet. That would be the ultimate goal, right? But we also want to improve our what's called running economy, right? Our body's ability to perform in these long distance races is reliant on our body's ability to deliver oxygen to our muscles. And training at different paces will improve our body's ability to deliver oxygen to our muscles, and also improve our times in the marathon. So let's take a look at a few of these, and you can click on all these links here and it'll give you really great information, right? So your easy pace running, this is what we called our conversational pace in the last video, right? This is going to be generally about 5 or 4 days out of your 7-day week, right? Easy pace running is always going to be your warm-ups and cool downs, your recovery runs. Generally, these are just meant to get your body ready for a harder effort on another day, right? And also help your body recover. It's really, really important that we're keeping these easy days easy, so we're not pushing our bodies too hard too often, right? One thing that you're going to see throughout all these texts is a few different words, this Vo2 Max and your heart rate max. And I can explain pretty briefly what those are, right? Your Vo2 max is the volume of O2, the volume of oxygen that your body can effectively deliver to your muscles at a given time, right? It's your lungs' ability to deliver that oxygen, right? Now, it's a little bit hard to figure out what your actual Vo2 max is. Generally, this is done in some type of a lab. You're getting blood drawn and everything, right? To figure out how much lactate or lactic acid is in your blood at a time, right? But your heart rate max is something that anyone can figure out, right? The calculation that you do to figure out your heart rate maximum is 220 minus your age, right? So that would be the maximum heart rate that doctors and pretty much your body would allow, right? But your easy day running would be about 65 to 80% of your heart rate maximum. If you're staying in that zone, generally you're recovering at a good pace, right? But again, another great way to figure out if you're running easy, have a conversation. If you're running with somebody, or maybe you say a movie quote out loud, if you can do that without feel like you're really straining, you're running easy, and that's probably a good thing, right? Let me just minimize this here, right? Next up, your marathon pace, right? So again, this is going to be really important for training for the marathon, obviously, but generally the way that we indicate where your marathon pace is, it's around 80 to 90% of your heart rate maximum. So definitely getting up there, but still not at all at your body's maximum heart rate, right? And these are generally going to be these longer repeats. Once we start looking at the training plan that I'm going to show you, you'll see that they're somewhere around 3 to 4 miles of effort at a time, right? But the goal of these is just to get used to running at that race pace, right? And hopefully, if we're running the correct pace, we're not actually going to be building up any of that lactic acid in our muscles, right? So our body's ability to perform at this level without building up lactic acid is what's going to improve our marathon time, right? Next up is our threshold pace. Now this is really interesting, right? But what your threshold is supposed to be is basically the red line that your body is sitting on, right? So anytime we go above that red line, we're producing lactic acid, right? Which is not good. That's what's going to fatigue our muscles, and over time we'd slow down, right? But when you're running just below that threshold pace, we're not producing lactic acid, but we're training our body to run at a faster pace without producing that lactic acid, which is really, really important. Overall, this is going to improve our endurance. Generally, this is somewhere around 90% of our heart rate maximum. So we're working pretty hard. But again, this is just comfortably hard running. This is one kind of term that my coach in high school often used. It's comfortably hard running, right? You're about 3 to 4 miles is where we'd want to cap this effort at, right? Or you're doing repeats of somewhere around 5 to 15 minutes each, and you're taking about 1 to 3 minutes of rest in between each one of those repetitions, right? But again, always trying to improve our body's ability to operate at a high speed without producing lactic acid. This threshold pace is going to be really important for that. Intervals, right? So this is your Vo2 max, right? This is about 100% of your heart rate maximum. The important thing here is that you're still not all out running, right? But you are working really, really hard. And the whole point of these types of workouts and running at this speed is building that aerobic power. Again, developing our lungs' ability to deliver oxygen to our muscles, right? You might actually be building up fatigue, right? But we are just trying to prevent that anaerobic involvement. In other words, building up lactic acid in our muscles, but still developing that oxygen delivery system, right? And then repetitions, last one here, is just pretty much all out sprinting. This is as fast as you can go, right? But this is generally around like your mile pace, what you could do for a maximum mile. And this is still really important, believe it or not, for running the marathon. Again, whenever we're training our bodies, we want to improve our speed and our running economy, right? Our form and the way that we're sprinting is also going to be very important for the development of our even long distance running. The more efficient we are with our sprinting even, it's going to teach our bodies to be more efficient while we're running a little bit slower, and especially as it comes to the marathon. Maintaining that form, standing up tall even after 26 miles is going to be really, really important, okay? So overall, I think this is a really, really valuable tool. I invite anyone to come back to this runsmartproject.com and take a look at these paces, right? Because this will give you a really good idea of what goals you can set for yourself in this equivalent tab, right? And then also what types of paces you should be running while you're training, okay? So I'll stop sharing on this screen, right? And then I'll bring this up on my other device here. Let me just bear with me here. And then I will share the screen here. So you should be seeing an example mileage plan on the screen here now, okay? Now, like I said, I'm going to be talking very briefly about 2 different types of plans that you might have as you're trying to approach your training. Again, if your goal is just to try and complete your marathon, maybe finish the 26.2 miles, that's all you're trying to do, or you're just trying to run the whole time, right? It may not be necessary for us to jump into workouts right away, but the most important thing for us to do is just to develop our body's ability to run longer and longer distances, especially if this is your first marathon, right? So what you can see is, again, very gradually over time, we're increasing our total mileage for the week and also increasing the longest run each week that we're doing as well, right? So we're going from 7, 8 to 9 to 10 miles and also increasing our mileage. And again, I talked about that 10% rule, right? Generally from week to week, we want to try and stay around that 10% rule for increasing our mileage, just to make sure that we're not pushing ourselves too hard and risking injury, right? There's always some wiggle room if you're feeling comfortable and you're listening to your body and it's telling you, you know what, we can go a little bit farther. That's totally fine. But it's always better to be conservative. Remember what Molly Seidel said, right? It's better to be undercooked than overdone, right? So just listen to your body while you're training. But this training plan in particular is really great because from week to week, again, we're just increasing that mileage very steadily. The other important thing that you'll notice here is that we're not running the same distance every single day. We're modulating the distances that we're running from day to day, right? So you can see on Monday, we're running 3 miles, but on Tuesday, we're running a little bit less, giving our body a chance to recover from that little bit of a longer run, right? The big one here, though, you can see on Saturdays each week, we have this very long, considerably longer run than the other ones that we've done each day, right? And again, the purpose of this workout on a weekend, when you have the most time, hopefully, right, is to get your body used to running long distances, right? That's the goal of the marathon or even the half marathon, right? We've got to get used to running that distance, not necessarily all the way up to 26. You'd be surprised. A lot of people can just get away with running maybe even 16 or 17 miles in their training could be the maximum that you ever attempt, because adrenaline on race day is going to carry you quite far, right? But again, training your body to run longer and longer distances is really important. Now, again, this is a 6-day per week training plan. If you're feeling good and you'd like to go 7 days a week, you can, but I've built in this kind of rest or walk day for those of us who might need just an extra day to, take a break. You got to listen to your body. But if you have any questions about how to actually build training plans, if you want to do a little bit more than that, you're always more than welcome to send me an email here at colin.martin14@gmail.com, right? But again, gives you a great idea of what a mileage plan and building up your mileage gradually over time might look like, okay? Now, for those of us who are perhaps a little bit more advanced, or even those, this is your first marathon, that's okay too. I'd invite you to try and attempt running some workouts 2 days a week. Now, again, this would be a training plan for someone who's running 7 days a week and has slowly built up over time to run this type of mileage. If you're not ready for that, take an easy day, right? But the most important days, if you're going to take days off, would be the ones that are not outlined in blue or not one of these long runs on a Saturday, right? So say maybe this Wednesday run or this Thursday run. If you need to take a break, right? But if you're feeling good, you've built up to about 7 days a week, I think this would be a really solid plan here, right? And I'll zoom in here and I'll take you through each one of these workouts and what I mean. Right? But okay, so you look at your total mileage for the week. Our goal is to get to about 40 miles. And we're starting the week off with just an easy 5-mile run, right? Anything you see in green generally is just going to be the total mileage for that day, right? Or that week, right? But as you can see, there's nothing underneath this 5. So we're just running 5 easy miles, giving our chance of body to recover and just get ready for the week of running. Now, Tuesday is this first workout. And as you can see here, any of these workout days where we're running a little bit faster are outlined in blue and have this orange and red writing. You can see as we're getting to faster paces, we're kind of increasing the fire, the color tones there, right? So take a look at Tuesday. And just to take you through what I mean by all this terminology here. So overall, the total mileage for the day is going to be about 6 miles. But within this 6 miles, perhaps you've done a 10-minute warm-up. I think that's always a good goal to shoot for. Then we're going to run 2 miles at your half marathon pace, HMP. You might see that written a few different places, and I've written that down here, right? You'd run 2 miles at your half marathon pace, your goal half marathon pace. You can get that from that calculator we just looked at. Then you'd take 2 minutes of rest, right? And then after that 2 minutes, you'd go into 5 30-second repetitions where you're running for 30 seconds very hard, maybe at your 5K or even your mile pace, and then 30 seconds of running very, very easy to recover. And you do that 5 times, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, a total of 5 times. Now, again, your question might be, hey, we're training for the marathon. Why are we running so fast? Well, again, the goal of these types of training exercises is to increase our body's ability to deliver oxygen to our muscles and not build up lactic acid. Testing these different aerobic systems, the half marathon pace running to get your body efficiently running without building up lactic acid, and then running these faster repetitions to improve our running economy and our ability to sprint even while we're building up lactic acid, right? Both very, very important, right? So again, 10-minute warm-up, you do this workout right here, what's in orange and red, and then you do whatever it took to get you to 6 miles to cool down. Very, very easy running at the end of that workout, okay? Now what you can see is Wednesday and Thursday, we go back to very easy running. Very important that we take time to recover and let our body process the workout after that. So Wednesday is just an easy 6-mile run, Thursday, just an easy 4-mile run. And again, if you need to take a day off, take a day off. Maybe you go for a walk or you bike ride instead. Both of those are great for our aerobic systems. We're still using our lungs to move our bodies, right? Those are great, great tools without having the pounding of running on our legs. If you need to take a day off and listen to your body, okay? Now, on Friday, another workout. We've taken time to recover on Wednesday and Thursday, but we're going back to hard running now. right? So Friday, total of 6 miles. You do that 10-minute warm up again. And then we're going to do 4 800-meter reps at your 10K pace. And we're taking 2 minutes of rest in between each one of those 800-meter reps, right? So 800 meters, 2 minutes rest. 800 meters, 2 minutes rest. We do that 4 times. And you're running at about your 10K pace. Again, a lot faster than your marathon pace, but we're improving that running economy. After that, the last 800 meters, you take that 2-minute rest, and then we go into 2 200-meter sprints at that interval pace. Again, right around your mile pace, or maybe a little bit faster than your 5K pace. We want to improve our body's ability to run at fast speeds even after we're tired, right? And again, whatever it takes to get to 6 miles afterwards, just easy running to cool down afterwards. Saturday is our long run day, so you'd go for an easy 10 miles. Whatever it takes to get to 10 miles would be great. And then Sunday on this plan again, you can just run an easy 3 miles. Again, if you need to take that day off just to walk or run, totally fine. Modulate this based on what your body is comfortable with doing, okay? Now, you can see that the structure of each one of these weeks is about the same with some exceptions, right? So the second week, we've moved to Wednesday and Saturday workouts. So again, we're giving our body enough chance to recover with 2 days in between these big workouts, right? So this week, we start Monday and Tuesday with some easy running, just 5 miles. And then on Wednesday, we do 8 to 10 400-meter reps at your 5K pace, taking 90 seconds of rest between each one. And you say 8 to 10, right? Whatever your body's feeling. You're feeling good that day, go for 10. If your body's a little bit tired from the previous week of training, you just do 8, right? And even if you have to do less than that, that's okay. Listen to that body. A 10-minute warm up, doing this workout here, and then whatever it takes to get to 6 miles afterwards to cool down would be plenty for that day, right? Take 2 easy days of running, a 6-mile run and a 4-mile run. And then now on Saturday, in this second week of training, we're looking at a long run with a workout, okay? Now you can see that every 2 weeks, this is what happens. We go from Tuesday, Friday workouts to Wednesday, Saturday workouts. Again, giving our body time to recover from these workouts, but also changing the days that we're working out is going to be important as well. But why do we do a long run workout, right? Well, it's important while we're running long distances that we get used to also running fast, right? So within this long run, perhaps overall you're doing 11 miles. You might have time to do about a 2-mile warm up now, and then you go into 3 2-mile repetitions at your marathon pace, whatever that goal is going to be. And again, generally we don't run marathon pace while we're training for a marathon, which is really strange. But a couple days out of these training blocks, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, we're running at that pace to get our body used to running our goal marathon pace while also running long distances, right? You get to mile 20 of our marathon race and you still got to hit those goal paces every single mile, right? So we are training our bodies to be tired and also still running that goal pace. Very important, right? So a 2-mile warm up, and then you do 3 2-mile repetitions at your marathon pace and taking 2 minutes of rest in between each one, okay? Pretty simple workout, but again, long distances and trying to hit that marathon goal pace. It's gonna be tough, right? And again, total mileage for these 2 weeks, just about 40 miles, right? And again, what you might see here down here, we've gone from 40 to 45. I said there's a little bit of wiggle room in that 10% rule. 10% would be about 44 miles this week. We've gone up to 45, but that's totally fine, right? So let's take a look at these last 4 workouts here, and then we'll conclude the video. Thanks for sticking with me, right? Now this week, another Tuesday workout within 7 miles of running, 10-mile warm-up, or 10-minute warm-up rather. Wow, that would be a long warm-up. 10-minute warm-up, and then 4 1,000-meter repetitions, or about 2.5 laps on the track at your half marathon pace. If you don't have a track or you don't have necessarily a GPS watch, you can kind of estimate these types of things. Generally, a 1,000-meter repetition might be between about a 4 to 5 minute effort, depending on what paces you're running. But if you have a track, that's another great way to do that. If you're in Pittsburgh, the Shenley Oval is a perfect 1,000-meter loop pretty much, right? So You can head there and do these types of workouts. 4 1,000-meter reps at half marathon pace, taking a minute of rest in between each one. And then after you finish those, you'd go into 3 400-meter reps at a little bit of a faster pace. And you're doing that at your Vo2 Max pace, right? Or your interval pace, right? So running a little bit faster, working on that running economy. Now, this workout on Friday here, this is a really interesting one. And I tend to really enjoy these types of workouts for one particular reason, but I'll explain it. So 7 miles total, perhaps another 10-minute warm-up, whatever it takes to get your body warm. And then you're going into 3 sets of alternating a 400-meter hill and a 1-mile flat at your half marathon pace, right? So you do 400-meter hill, 1 mile, 400-meter hill, 1 mile, 400, 1 mile, right? 3 times total, right? But you'd run that 400-meter hill at about a 10K effort. Obviously, you're not going to be able to run your flat out 10K pace up a hill, right? But whatever feels about a 10K pace effort going up that hill, and you just jog back down to get your recovery. So if you're running up that 400-meter hill in about maybe 2 minutes, right? It might take you 3 or 4 minutes to get back down when you're running really easy. So plenty of time to let your body recover. And then you'd go straight into a 1 mile at your half marathon goal pace. Now, the reason why I love these types of workouts, it's really interesting. You run that 400-meter hill and you might be tired and thinking, oh man, how am I going to run this 1 mile? But that 1 mile actually feels really easy because you're running, 1, at a slower pace, and 2, you're not running up a hill, right? So I found that 1 mile at half marathon pace actually feels really, really nice. And I think this is a really, really great workout. After that 1 mile at half marathon pace, before you start that next 400-meter hill, you take 3 minutes of recovery to let your body just get ready for the next set. Total of 3 times. It's a really great workout. I think you'd really enjoy it. And again, last 2 workouts here. This week on a Wednesday, you do 3 1-mile reps at your half marathon pace, taking 1 minute of rest in between each one. After you finish that 3rd mile, you take a total of 3 minutes of rest, and then you'd go into a series of 400-meter reps and 200-meter reps. So you do 2 times 400-meter at your 5K pace, and then you would do 2 times 200-meter at your mile pace. And again, taking 1 minute of rest between all of these repetitions. Again, we're mixing up that half marathon pace and that bit of faster running just to get our body's ability to deliver that oxygen and improve that efficiency over time, right? Last one here, and then we'll wrap up. Another like kind of marathon pace, long run workout here. Again, we're trying to improve that distance, increase that distance that we're able to run at that goal pace over time very steadily. So now instead, we're going to run 2 4-mile segments at your marathon pace and taking 4 minutes of rest in between each one within a 13-mile run, right? Long distances for the total run and the repetitions. We're getting our body used to running those long distances at an efficient and fast pace, right? Now, again, all of this can be modulated based on what your abilities are, right? What your previous race experience might be, or what your goals are for this upcoming marathon, right? It's all based on you. Listen to your body. And again, if you have any questions, I encourage you to just send me an email and I'd be happy to talk about training with you. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing from that screen here. I want to thank you guys again for bearing with me. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I'm wishing you the very, very best in your training. Send me an email if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.